Hello, first grade. Mrs. Reeves back with our Making Meaning lesson for this week. And our book that we're reading is It's Mine. And the author of this book is Leo Leone. And Leo Leone is also the illustrator of this book. So that means that he both wrote the words and drew the pictures. Now, this book is about three frogs, and their names are Milton, Rupert, and Lydia. And it's also about a toad. And the frogs live in or near water, and toads live on land. And so this story takes place on an island in the middle of a rainbow pond. And so an island is an area of land that is surrounded by water. So an island is land, and then a pond is a small body of water that is surrounded by land. So the island is the land and the pond is water. So we have to make sure we understand that. Now, while I'm reading, I'm going to stop and ask you a couple of questions, and it's your job to pause the video and either talk to someone about your answers to the question or just think about them yourself. So here is our story. It's Mine by Leo Leone. In the middle of Rainbow Pond, there was a small island. Smooth pebbles lined its beaches, and it was covered with ferns and leafy weeds. On the island lived three quarrelsome means that they argue and disagree a lot. On the island lived three quarrelsome frogs named Milton, Rupert, and Lydia. They quarreled and quibbled. Quibbled is when you argue about something that isn't even important. They quarreled and quibbled from dawn to dusk. Stay out of the pond, yelled Milton. The water is mine. Get off the island, shouted Rupert. The earth is mine. The air is mine, screamed Lydia as she leaped to catch a butterfly. And so it went. Now we're going to take a little pause right here, and I want you to think about, what do you know about Rupert, Milton, and Lydia so far? So think about what I've read so far, and what do we know about Rupert, Milton, and Lydia so far? All right, we're going to start back with our story. The air is mine, screamed Lydia as she leaped to catch a butterfly, and so it went. One day, a large toad appeared before them. I live on the other side of the island, he said, but I can hear you shouting, It's mine, it's mine, it's mine, all day long. There is no peace because of your endless bickering. Bickering is another word for arguing, too. There is no peace because of your endless bickering. You can't go on like this. With that, the toad slowly turned around and hopped away through the weeds. No sooner had he left than Milton ran off with a large worm. The others hopped after him. Worms are for everybody, they cried. But Milton croaked defiantly. Defiantly means rudely or saying, mm-mm-mm. Milton croaked defiantly. Not this one, it's mine. Suddenly, the sky darkened, and a rumble of distant thunder circled the island. Rain filled the air, and the water turned to mud. The island grew smaller and smaller, and it was swallowed up by the rising flood. The frogs were scared. Desperately, they clung to the few slippery stones that still rose above the wild, dark water. But soon, these too began to disappear. We're going to pause again here, and I want you to think about, what do you think is going to happen next in this story? So pause the video and either talk to someone about it or just think about it in your mind yourself. All right, we're going to get back to our story. Desperately, they clung to the few slippery stones that still rose above the wild, dark water, but soon these too began to disappear. There was only one rock left, and there the frogs huddled. That means that they sat really close together. And there the frogs huddled, trembling from cold and fright. But they felt better now that they were together, sharing the same fears and hopes. Little by little, the flood subsided. That means that it went down, so the water was going back down. Little by little, the flood subsided. The rain fell gently and then stopped altogether. But look, the large rock that had saved them was no rock at all. You saved us, shouted the frogs when they recognized the toad. The next morning, the water had cleared. Sun rays chased silver minnows. Minnows are little tiny fish. Sun rays chased silver minnows on the sandy bottom of the pond. Joyfully, the frogs jumped in, and side by side they swam all around the island. Together, they leaped after the swarms of butterflies that filled the air. And later, when they rested in the weeds, they felt happy in a way they had never been before. Isn't it peaceful? Peaceful means calm and there's no arguing going on. Isn't it peaceful? Said Milton. And isn't it beautiful? Said Rupert. And do you know what else? Said Lydia. No, what? The others asked. It's ours, she asked, or she said. And that was the ending of our story, It's Mine by Leo Leone. And you're going to go onto your template now and answer a question. And this question is going to be, what happens in this story? And so you're going to be retelling the story to Mrs. Reeves as if I have never heard this. A lot of you practiced that with me when we did our DRA assessment. And so if you can't remember what happens in this story, or if you feel like you forgot some of the important details, come back and listen to me reading the story again so that you can retell the story to me and not leave out any important details.